Welcome back, D-traders. InstaForex analysts are ready to unveil their red-hot forecast for the US markets. Let's discuss what is putting pressure on the trading instruments and what is feeding market optimism. As expected, Wall Street opened a new trading week on a pessimistic note. The benchmark stock indexes went lower in a negative territory yesterday. On a Monday, the Dow Jones slipped 128 points, or 0.39%. The Nasdaq fell 1.03%. The S&P500 closed 0.75% down at 3,871 points. The New York pre-market looks promising on Tuesday. The major stock indexes are trading in the green, regaining previous losses. The S&P 500 is expected to trade in the intraday corridor between 3,860 and 4,000 points. Despite the tepid opening of the week, October was not the worst month for the US stock market. The Dow Jones logged the strongest performance in October in its history, having grown by 14%. The previous record was the monthly growth of 10.6%. The growth in October was the strongest result since 1976. Apart from further rate hikes, investors pay attention to the US GDP for the third quarter, which surpassed expectations. Meanwhile, 52% of companies included in the S&P 500 have unveiled their corporate earnings. 72% of such companies reported higher than expected profits. The stock market picked up in the light of upbeat quarterly reports and hopes that the Fed could soften its aggressive stance. The S&P 500 has risen by almost 9% for the last 2 weeks. The index has grown 7.99% for the month. The Nasdaq has gained 3.9%. Strong October and the hope for dovish signals from the Fed encouraged the upward reversal of the major stock indexes. The comments by Fed's officials on the policy decision and the US non-farm payrolls will shape market sentiment this week. Anticipation of Powell's comments is not the only factor to prop up the market. Investors also cheered quarterly reports of some top American companies. On Tuesday, Pfizer upgraded its forecast of COVID vaccine sales to $34 billion because of a high demand for the Omicron booster vaccine. Shares of the drug manufacturer surged by 4.3% to $48.55 in the pre-market because its profit was beyond expectations in the third quarter amid higher than expected vaccine sales. Uber also pleased investors with the upbeat quarterly results. The company predicts that its operating profit will be more than expected in the fourth quarter because of a growing demand for the taxi service. In response, Uber shares jumped by 10%. The revenue expanded by 72% to $8.34 billion. The adjusted profit stands at $516 million, surpassing the consensus. However, the quarterly loss measures $1.2 billion, mainly due to the investments in the equity capital. Later today, investors will take notice of the ISM manufacturing PMI, JOLTS job openings for September, and the services PMI by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. These reports might influence market sentiment. The US dollar is vulnerable to market optimism about the prospects that the Fed might ease the pace of the rate hike in December. The US dollar index again retreated from a weekly high. It has lost 0.6% today, and the intraday corridor for the index is seen between 110.20 and 111.60. Investors are inspired by remarks from some Fed policymakers who suggested that the central bank might moderate the rate hike in December. Investors are regaining their risk-on mood. Indeed, global stocks entered trading at the highest levels in the last months, while the US dollar is retreating from a one-week high. The US Fed intends to raise the funds rate by 75 basis points for the fourth time in a row. The target overnight credit rate will increase to 3.75 to 4%. At this meeting, policymakers are likely to bring up the issue of moderating further rate hikes, not to push the top global economy into a tailspin. Besides, Powell's favorite indicator of the bond market is on the verge of being inverted. The spread between yields of three-month Treasury bills and expected yields of such treasuries in 18 months has shrunk to 0.2% today, compared to 2.7% in April. In this context, analysts suppose that the US dollar must have topped out. It does not mean that it will slump in the near future. The US index has appreciated by more than 15% this year. It's too early to predict its decline to February's levels. A significant fall in the US dollar benefits the Canadian dollar. The loonie has gained 0.5% and seems to be poised to assert its strength. The intraday corridor for the USD CAD pair is defined between 1.3480 and 1.3610. The commodity-reliant loonie owes its strength to recovery in the oil market and temporary weakness in the US dollar. Oil prices have rebounded by more than 2% today. OPEC and its allies have agreed on oil output rates by 2 million barrels per day starting from November. It has been the steepest output cut since the pandemic outbreak. The cartel is widely expected to intrude into the market to bolster rally in oil prices. Moreover, the European Union embargo on Russian oil supplies will come into force from December. The only factor to curb demand nowadays is COVID restrictions in China. But the media reported that news that China might relax the lockdown. In a response, oil prices resumed growth. Brent crude futures climbed to 2.21% intraday to trade at $94.94 a barrel, and WTI futures rebounded 2.35% to trade at $88.63 a barrel. The loonie might remain under pressure today as the Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem is due to speak in the Parliament today. Cryptocurrencies are trading cautiously higher today. Bitcoin is actually trading within the narrow range between $20,000 and $20,600. Having gained 0.6%, the token is now trading at about $20,400. Other altcoins are following the dynamic of the flagship cryptocurrency. Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, and Litecoin have grown by 0.4% and 1.3%. To sum up the performance for the month, Bitcoin has been trading almost flat. The token is losing its correlation with the Wall Street high-tech sector. At the same time, the opposite correlation with the US dollar index is more evident than the direct correlation with the Nasdaq. The crypto has grown by 5% for the last months, despite sluggish trading, and the Nasdaq has risen by 3% for the same period. The intraday corridor for the Bitcoin is within a wide trading range from $19,900 to $20,800. Let me warn you that despite optimism in the New York pre-market, sentiment on Wall Street will depend on the outcome of the Fed's policy meeting. Besides, a series of macroeconomic data will be published after the opening bell. Make prudent trading decisions and see you tomorrow.